Okay,
All
I'm
right.
recording. So, guys, if you want to go on mute, that would probably be helpful for Sorcha. And
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, let Kat know, or just save them for after and we'll talk about them. This is a class on the duties of a regional hospitaler. I am the Northern Regional Hospitaler for Onsteora, and I know that we've had a class already on the duties of the hospitaler's office, and we all know that the hospitaler is traditionally the keymaster for the door into the SCA. We welcome the newcomer with open arms and a willing heart, helping them find their way into a new, wonderful world of experiences, we hope. And this job can be harder than just meeting new people. It takes a great deal of time and energy to take those newcomers and mold them into good SCAers and lifetime players. The hospitaler is always thinking of new ways to engage newcomers in different skills and classes or experiences, and that is exceptionally true for the regional hospitaler because their job is to be a needed stepping stone in the chain between Kingdom and the local hospitalers and groups. The duties of the regional hospitaler are not terribly difficult, but they are important. First and foremost, you have to be approachable and have good communication skills. You're working with a wide variety of personalities, and you have to be able to communicate the needs of the office with each of your local hospitalers. If they have a problem, they have to feel comfortable coming to you for help. You have to be able to act as a sounding board for new ideas and learn how to support those ideas or temper them as needed. I have had a lot of local hospitalers come to me with really awesome ideas that needed a little bit of tempering at times to kind of get the full effect that they're going for into something that can actually be accomplished. The regional hospitaler should be a cheerleader for the local hospitalers. They should be encouraging them, answering questions as needed. We get to encourage and support and work with lots of people. And with as a local hospitaler, most of those people are experiencing the SCA for the first time. With the regional hospitaler, you may be working with somebody who's never been in an office before. And you have to kind of approach them like a newcomer whenever they haven't held an office before and give them the support that they need in order to do a good job. One of the important things to make sure is that you need to make sure that your local hospitalers have the correct information to teach newcomers or know where to go to get the information they need. One of our problems that has been discussed in the hospitaler group has been making sure that the correct information is being put out about the SCA, and that the classes that we're teaching are being taught by people who are knowledgeable about the subject materials. And for a regional hospitaler, you need to make sure that your local officers have that information or know where to get it. In addition to being a cheerleader, it's our job to choose hospitalers for local groups. We want to make sure that the fit for the local group is right. So you have to work closely with the seneschal and any local baronial influences to make sure that the right person is chosen for the job. This includes checking applications, of course, and interviewing potential candidates as needed. But you really want to get the input from the seneschal and the baron or baroness, if available, and getting that input is critical. They know the people in their group, and they will be working with your candidate. You want to try and make the best fit that's possible. And on Steora, the regional, whenever I have had to choose an officer, I get the applications from the group. I look over the applications. I talk to the seneschal. I talk to the baron, the baroness. I talk to Kingdom. I give them my opinion based off of what I'm getting from the local group input. And I have given the local groups my go-ahead on who I thought would do the best job. It's not something that you would take lightly. It's not a decision that you would make lightly. And I would not ever consider making that decision without local group input from the seneschal and the baron and baroness, if they have one. You've got to encourage your local hospitalers to reach out to newcomers and experienced players both. The hospitaler is really the go-between for the newcomers and the marshalate and A&S communities. And the regional is the hub of that network. And you want to make sure that your local hospitalers know who to go to for their information. So the regional encourages local hospitalers to get to know people so that they can help newcomers find their way more easily. Whenever I was a local hospitaler, I made a big point of, Facebook is wonderful. I got on Facebook and I met everybody. I tried to meet as many people as I could and friend as many people as I could, because I knew someday somebody was going to know how to do something. And I was going to have a newcomer that wanted to learn how to do that thing. And it was my job to connect those two. You also have to be able to problem solve as a regional hospitaler. Right now in the northern region, we have a few openings, and when a group doesn't have a hospitaler, you have to be willing to work with the seneschal or baron and baroness to fill that office, or you have to have appropriate ways to reach newcomers for that group. The baron and baroness, the seneschal, they need the information, they need the supplies in order to be able to reach out to those newcomers if they don't have a hospitaler locally. You may have to actively advocate for someone to fill that empty office. It's crossed my mind that if I wasn't under a travel restriction for work, I would travel to those local groups and go to a meeting and advocate for somebody to please take the office, because it is an important office to have filled. If no one is available to take the office, you need to be ready to step in and fill the void for things like demos or newcomer meetings whenever we are having them. It's good for the local groups to see the regional officers and have communication with the regional officers so they know that their concerns are being addressed and their needs are being met. You really have to have a positive attitude to make this job work. Being able to find the silver lining in a problem is an extremely helpful skill. We're here to guide newcomers through a sometimes very twisty path to SCA life. And you have to have a can-do attitude to accomplish that. Right now, with everything being on pause, our newcomers have been in the single digits and only through virtual access. And that's making the job of the local hospitaler a lot more difficult and a lot less satisfying to some extent. As a regional, I'm trying to continuously encourage them to keep up their energy, to keep up their communications with their group, and to reach out whenever possible to any possible newcomers, and just trying to give them as much support as I possibly can at this point. Communication, again, the big issue, the big bonus. Communicating with Kingdom is important. You don't want to have any surprises for Kingdom. Kingdom doesn't like surprises. And so you want to be able to communicate any troubles you're having with getting reports or getting membership expiration dates, things like that. You want to be able to make sure that you're communicating those issues with Kingdom as needed. You also need to be communicating with the Seneschal and the Baron and Baroness of that group if you are having a problem with your local hospitaler, and making sure that they're on board and getting them involved if you're having trouble communicating with your local hospitaler or getting responses back. One of the downsides of being a regional hospitaler is deciding when you need to approach Kingdom and approach a Baron and Baroness or Seneschal about removing somebody from an office, and making that decision for whatever reason. No reports, no activity from the hospitaler, lack of communication, things along that line, which have happened in the past. And it's one of the more troublesome duties of a regional, but it's there. I much prefer the cheerleader part than the banhammer part. Just making sure that you have open lines of communication with your local hospitalers, with Kingdom, with your Seneschals, and that your door is always open is really an important part of the job. I don't know if Katya, if you want to throw in anything there. She's also, I see her sitting there, and I saw the kitty. She's also a regional hospitaler. And Kingdom was going to come tonight, but she's not feeling well. So we told her to take the night off.
So I do have one thing to add, just that I happen to know about from doing the virtual academy stuff. So you were mentioning, Sorcha, that it's difficult right now because, with COVID, there's not a lot that people can do, as far as recruiting and retaining and all that. Well, next Wednesday, our class is actually going to be on doing virtual demos. So North Keep actually did a virtual demo and I talked their seneschal into coming on and doing a roundtable for ideas about how to do that. Because I mean, looking at the numbers in Oklahoma and Texas, and you know, I don't know what it's like for other people that are in other parts of the world, but it doesn't look like we're going to have any kind of in-person demos or, you know, events for a while. So anything that we can do virtually to, you know, keep recruiting and to retain, I think is important right now. So
Yeah, retention is a big thing for us in the hospitaler office. And it's one of the things that I'm encouraging all of the locals to really kind of push. And you know, the virtual classes we're doing, the Bardic nights that are in other kingdoms, the other events that are going on, really trying to encourage and push those activities, you know, in the hospitaler's office. Hey guys, go do this, go do that, go attend this. Katya wants to be unmuted. Kat, if you can. That's okay.
Thank you. As a regional hospitaler, I'll just go ahead and jump in here and just kind of build on what you're saying.
Oh, please.
It is very much a cheerleader position. I enjoy it because I get to work behind the scenes. I don't necessarily have to be out front and dealing with people. It's really nice to kind of help them share ideas and work with each other. I had a message from one of my hospitalers this month. She actually wants to get together with the other hospitalers in the region and just kind of have a powwow and share ideas amongst themselves. And I think I'm going to try to set that up for next month because really you do have to get creative with it when it comes to working with different people and trying to encourage participation. But yeah, right now, retention is a big deal. A lot of people are finding other hobbies to do. So trying to keep the membership participating and focused is really the challenge right now. Trying to come up with things that they can learn within this hobby. Oh, sorry, the puppy moved. Within this hobby to keep them interested and participating. So that's a real challenge right now. Thank you.
Yeah, retention, I think right now for the hospitaler's office is more of an importance than recruitment at this point. We don't want to lose our lifetime players. I'm trying to think, I didn't want to say old timers because I am one of those. So we want to keep people interested in the SCA and everything that we do. So, but there is no office of retention per se. There is no retention officer. So it's got to fall on somebody's shoulders. And you need somebody enthusiastic. And the hospitaler's office is, I have found to be one of the more enthusiastic offices out there. You know, whenever we were meeting in person, it was constantly finding new people and bringing them in and making the SCA just the biggest, most entertaining thing that you could possibly do. And the enthusiasm your hospitaler puts out is what hooks your newcomers. And then you draw them in. It's very much like fishing. You just draw them in and you beat them with a stick. And then they stay. Yeah, Ian, you're right that recruiting people, 10% of the job, retention was 90% of the job. And right now, retention is our big focus, our big draw.
So what kind of things are you telling local hospitals, or what kind of things are they talking to you about recruiting and retaining right now? Other than, you mentioned having people go to the virtual stuff, which is great. And I think
Yeah,
that's a big part of it right now.
I'm getting some frustration. I'm getting a lot of frustration. People are tired of staying home, and they want to go and poke people with swords, and they want to do bardic around a real campfire, and they want to do things without internet lag being an issue. They want to sit and wait for court to start, as opposed to sitting and waiting for a Zoom meeting to start. I'm trying to keep their spirits up. I'm trying to keep them focused on ideas that they want to implement for when we do go back live. At 40th year, when we did the newcomers pouches with Namron, there were people at 40th year who were supposed to have little trinkets and tokens and largesse, and when they saw the pouch with the black star on it, they were supposed to go to that person who was a newcomer and give them the largesse and then introduce themselves and give them their little 5-minute SCA spiel. At 40th year, it was just too large to do that. It was just too big. But Namron still has the pouches, and they want to do that again at a smaller event, at a local event. And I have been encouraging the other groups to maybe consider doing something similar. Find your populace, and if they're not busy, sew some pouches, paint some pouches, make some largesse. Just trying to get the hospitalers to focus on things that the populace can do while we are on lockdown, so to speak, that will be able to be used when we come out and come back.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I know we have some loaner clothing, but not a whole lot. So, if people could work on getting stuff like that made, and, you know, I don't, anything we can do to keep people with having stuff to do that, will keep them busy and keep them focused on the SCA, I think is good.
Yeah. With my locals, they're not having a great big reaction to anything that they're putting out right now. Everything just seems to be kind of stagnated. But I'm still pushing out there going, hey, we've got Roundtable, and we have a hospitaler meeting at Roundtable. And then after lunch, they are doing a promotional materials meeting, if I'm not mistaken. That it's supposed to be something that's going to be really interesting, putting out promotional information on the SCA.
It'll be with the Society Hospitaler.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's going to be right after lunch. So I'm encouraging everybody who can go, go to those two meetings and get some feedback and interact with other hospitalers.
Yeah, I actually think Roundtable might hopefully be good for people, just something to see each other and, talk about the fact that we're all going through the same thing right now, and maybe be a little re-energizing, hopefully, for people.
It'll be nice to see other faces. Not that y'all's faces aren't great, don't get me wrong. But yes, there are a lot of folks out there.
I did my hair for this meeting.
We appreciate that. It looks fantastic.
It's beautiful.
It
Thank you.
is. Hi. Saw Ian's wife over there making a guest appearance.
Hop in. Woohoo! That's really all I have right now. Just sticking with the enthusiasm and the can-do attitudes, keeping people encouraged and trying to keep them supported is really what I've been focusing on the last 6 months. Are we now? 5 months?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Just trying to keep everybody going.
Does anybody have questions? You can raise your hand like this, or you can raise your hand in the thing and I can unmute you. Sorry, guys. Yay, Ian has something. Well, I hit unmute.
You unmuted me and then it told me I needed to unmute myself.
That's weird.
We had a demo that was supposed to be at the end of June with the local library, and it was supposed to be kids and families. And I'm in a town of 17,000 people down here. So, and we doubled to about 40,000 during the day. So we actually can have a lot of influence inside the county that we're in. And obviously that couldn't happen. And the library's like, they couldn't figure out a way to get us plugged in with some of the stuff they're doing over the summer virtually. I'm wondering, have we found ways that we might be able to plug in things like that other than using Zoom?
With the hospitler's office, I have not. I know that if I drove around and picked up display items and demo items, I could probably make a display at our local library, which is open right now. But I have racked my brain on trying to get the word out, and I'm drawing a blank.
And last summer, the library actually requested that we put a thing in their windows, and it was up for a month. I mean, it's been slow progress here. We've actually, my understanding is the history in this town is that there's actually been 2 SC groups that grew up and then died, grew up and then died. And that's my understanding of the history. I wasn't here for it. I showed up about 5 years ago. We're just trying to build slowly and let people know what the SA really is, as opposed to what they thought it was 20 years ago and all that stuff. And it was actually the point where it would have been a great demo.
Yeah.
But everybody's dealing with what we have to deal with. And just a note on my confusion of Onstera gets to pick. I was a regional in Indiana, and the local groups got to pick, and I dealt with whoever I ended up dealing with. So it's an interesting difference in the interkingdom anthropology.
Yeah.
The last 2 groups that have required hospitalers were Wiesenfear and Namron. And out of both of them, the local baronials and the seneschals for those groups messaged me and told me, these are the people, these are their strengths, these would be their weaknesses, we think. This is what we would like. And when you make the decision, would you mind posting for us? So
Thanks.
I was like, I don't know these people at all, and I can't drive up there to meet them. So,
I've called the candidates before and talked with them and just kind of checked out their goals and whatnot. So I kind of sort of do a phone interview.
Yeah.
But Ian, to get back to your original question, how do we get to newcomers outside of Zoom? Honestly, a lot of the colleges that I've seen online and a lot of the classes that I've seen online are a great way to wrangle in people. Use your social media, post QR codes around, and have people tune in at whatever time and see what's going on. It still has to be virtual. There's no way to do this stuff in person. But if you can, again, post the QR codes, post the links, let people know that we're out here, and to just join these meetings and join these online classes. A lot of times that'll get you. But use your social media, get creative with it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that would be a good idea. Like you could put little bookmarks at the library with your QR codes and like put the times for your baronial meeting for, us here in Namron, or, whatever meeting you have. Or if you don't have meetings, maybe put the next Kingdom Court time and, the link to the Kingdom page, just something that they can come and see and get involved. And we might actually have more luck recruiting that way, because they don't have to put on garb and go anywhere. They can do it from their house at their computer. So
right.
Can
And
we
your
create?
hospital, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
if your hospitalers can also work with the different officers of your barony, have your heavy marshal and your rapier marshal post classes and monthly workouts that people can be doing, or tips and tricks and drills that they can be doing. Your ANS person can be posting quick tip classes, something new and different to do every month. Work with the different officers in your group and try posting classes that way too, just to keep new people in and keep that retention up.
I know the colleges and universities are going to be starting up soon. Can we, in 2 weeks, a month, have a virtual newcomers event?
Absolutely. Steps has been doing them.
I got to figure out how to make that happen.
I would like to suggest. I would like to suggest that we also have like virtual practices for the fighters and the archers and the rapier, where maybe they can find a way of having a point system of having where they have virtual hits and then have virtual ANS.
Yeah.
Yep, we've actually talked about that as a martial community, because no, it's a fantastic idea. It's something we need to get going, because we've talked about, well, okay, so it's kind of going to be on the honor system, obviously, because I'm not going to know, what you shot when you go shoot in your backyard. And not everybody can go shoot in their backyard, but it's something to get people doing something and continuing their skills.
One of the
I
things
know for
that,
myself.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things I know Steps and Elsie both do, as Katya was saying, was the newcomer meetings. And so everything is by social media. So you can list or create an event and list it on Facebook, and it'll be tagged by name or by interest, and you can do that. So if you want to do, you could tag medieval, history, social, and anybody that typed in anything in Facebook or in Google would find that event, and then they would have a meeting to an event. And there is plenty of free SCA video on for a quick presentation. I always think of Modius and Gulf Wars. it has a great overview, and I remember one distinct, what's so great about the SCA and what's so great about being a king? Well, me saying I'm a king is nothing. Me saying I'm a king and 1,000 other people believe I'm king, that's pretty cool. And things, those kind of snippets and videos can really help to hook newcomers. And it can also remind old timers of, well, this is pretty cool. I know I can't go out and swing a sword right now, but seeing the video, I may want it more, and that's fine. You can want it more, and I think the virtual practice is a good thing. But having a regular newcomers meeting that you advertise, either through your website for your group, or, as I said, creating events virtually, which can be searched by Google, and that is something that people like us do. We're looking. We'll do at least some research, try to find something, and we just have to make it easier for them to find us. And for the old timers, like for instance, I haven't played in almost 15 years. Isn't that about right, Katya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So I'm coming back because I missed it so much. And it's interesting when you're old and an old timer coming back, and that's something that the local hospitals, if they have that, they should tap into that. The old timers, and I'll put myself in there. When you're coming back, you're a newcomer all over again. You may have awards, you may have the garb, but nobody. And so you're having to rebuild all these relationships just like a newcomer. And having someone come talk to you, and of course, you want to do your due diligence, make sure that the old timer is not some old person who was banished, 15 years ago or something like that. But it's they can help. And it's a frequent untapped resource. It's hard to get them to come out, but if you can get them to come out and get enthused, there's nothing like it for a local group.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, Ian, you might look at I don't know, I'm just thinking of stuff you could do quickly for yours, like seeing, if you can, because I know you have classes that you've taught, so stuff that you could put up there that's already pre-recorded. I have a bunch of classes, the Virtual Academy of the Rapier has a bunch of rapier stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot of heavy. They're starting to do some training videos now, but it hasn't been real pervasive, so.
It's hit and miss with heavy.
Yeah.
The only time I've found anything from heavy, it's been on the SCA Facebook page. And hit and miss.
Yeah.
Puppy dog.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's all good.
Tootie thinks she's important.
Of course she is. Yeah, I agree with that, Ian. People come for the activities and stay for the people. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, the activities can be pretty fun.
Absolutely.
Let's know can the people.
All right, guys. Well, did anybody have any other questions or anything for Tamara?
I was wondering where is she in Monsiora?
Yes.
Are in a Stargate?
No. Sorcha's in Bradley, which is Wichita Falls, Texas.
Okay. And what Katya looked kind of familiar.
I'm up here in Steps, which is Dallas.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I
And
was
I'm
just
in
wondering because you look kind
Oklahoma
of familiar.
City, so
You're in
I'm,
Oklahoma City.
yeah.
Okay. I'm
I,
in Stargate, but
oh, okay.
I first started in Lac Solier or
Gotcha.
Solier. I'm not too sure how you pronounce it.
I say Soleil. I don't know if that's right or not.
I'm,
I
I'm
go
not
with
too
sugar.
sure. I I've been away for 10 years and I don't have any garb and I don't have a car. So my garb is all in Round Rock in a friend's house and
Mm,
I would have to go get it all. And right now that's not feasible. So and
right.
I'm not employed and I'm on disability, so I'm gonna have to rebuild slowly. But
Yeah.
I
What was
will
your
I
SCA name?
anything. So, and I was looking at like 13th century Byzantine, early Ottoman. So
Cool.
I was, didn't really register anything. So, whatever you want to call, I don't really, I don't really know of any. Just looking at names, but I don't really know of any 13th century names from it was.
Oh, we're only catching like every couple of words. Unfortunately, your audio is
Oh,
not real great. I heard you were
oh,
saying you don't have a name and you were looking at names, but that's pretty much all I got out of that.
Yeah.
yeah, I was looking at 13th century Constantinople,
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh,
just
sorry.
Love
because that's
Byzantine.
pretty much in the middle.
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I love Byzantine. It's one of those time periods where you can take something simple and bead and embroider or whatever you want to do and the heck out of it, and it looks fabulous. And I think it's a little at the same time a little gaudy, and it's very eye-catching, and there's nothing wrong with any of that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I was going to be kind of a little bit Byzantine, a little bit Ottoman. Yeah.
Hmm.
I do the Ottoman clothes. Woot woot. Although my persona is Italian, but that's my husband's fault. So.
Okay, blame him.
Yeah.
Blame him. Yeah.
Oh, it's totally his fault.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's my fault too, because see, now I tell newcomers, research the clothes before you go with a name, because I did not.
Mhm.
And if
Okay.
I had, I would have seen that there's no way in heck I'm going to wear these Italian beautiful clothes all the time because they're uncomfortable. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
So, and what we're talking about here with clothes and persona is a perfect thing to talk about with new people,
Absolutely.
because I chose an English name. I chose a 12th century. I'm a crusader, and I love my tea tunics. I wouldn't trade them for the most expensive Henry VIII Tudor garb you could make me. But I love my tea tunics, and they can be like Byzantine. They can be dressed up to the nines, and
Yep.
it's very simple and it's not expensive. And as long as you have a T-shirt, you can make a tea tunic, and that's another thing that's so good, that's so nice about it. So, because I hate sewing, been doing this a
Italian
long time, and I
Lugano.
still hate sewing. Yes, so
Italian Lugano is kind of that way as well. It's early period looking because it's 12th century. So tea tunic style, but very dressed up. The fabrics are richer and more expensive, but still really comfortable. But my husband won't wear that. Yeah. He's a peacock. He's a rapier
He
fighter.
is a peacock.
So.
Well, I'm also interested in, like East Asian and Indian and So my persona was a merchant on the Silk Road. So I figured with that I could get away with most anything, you know, but I could be wrong.
It's amazing the things you can get away with whenever you involve silk and spices.
There you go. There you go.
That, and keep in mind, just because you have a registered persona that's XYZ doesn't mean you have to dress that way,
That's
because
true.
I sure don't. You know, it's what you're happy in, what you like making, what you're comfortable in, you know. But since you don't have a registered persona yet, you can take more time and research that and figure all that out.
Well, that's good. And you know, Houston, Texas is very hot and humid, and you know, if you're going to be outside and you're going to fight, you need to be comfortable, and you know, you have to keep in mind the weather. You know, so
Definitely. Which is why in the summer I wear Greek and Roman, because yeah, it's hot.
well, and since a lot of clothes were passed down, can't you wear earlier as much as possible?
I don't know. I would have to ask Laura about that. See what they
That
think.
they cut out for me.
Okay.
What did she say?
She said since a lot of clothes were passed down, couldn't you wear earlier than your actual registered persona? Which, yeah, you can wear whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, it's because clothes or whatever you want to wear. It's only if you're very strict for your own persona if you're going to wear a certain kind of clothes.
Right.
And I've worn everything from early Greco-Roman to Tudor. So
Yep.
I mean, I'm still Richard Fairborn, but I can wear anything I want, and I do. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
And sometimes it really scares people when you show up in something that's like, they're used to seeing you in a normal tunic or a nice tunic or a very nice tunic, and all of a sudden you show up in, Greek or, the togas, and then a major Henry VIII Tudor style with, the puffy sleeves and the codpiece, and people are like, you don't look like that. What you're no, you're not supposed to do that, but do it. Don't get tied to it. And
No.
there was a lot more travel in medieval times than people think. All you have to say is that you sell goods and accompany your goods for sale, and the whole road is open to you. Especially if you want to base yourself out of Constantinople for Byzantine.
Yeah.
That opens up the entire medieval world. So
that's one reason I was doing that, is saying that I was a merchant, in Constantinople, and I figured that would help me. But then again, I could always be like late 1500s, and that could also allow me to wear clothes if one early clothes I wanted.
Well, you have to remember, if you're talking about late 1500s, I always remember Columbus and 1492. And by that time, there was great sailing craft going from Portugal, Spain, not just through Italy anymore, but around Cape Horn in Africa to India and even into China. So, if you're that time period, again, you and as you said, are a merchant from Constantinople, you can go anywhere and get anything. And I know I've personally purchased very nice Chinese fabrics that I have decorated with pearls, and no one says anything.
Yeah.
They'll say I'm Chinese.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Well,
All right, guys.
do you mind? When I was in SCA before, I noticed that some people really strive to be as authentic as possible, and that some people didn't. Some people, were a lot more flexible. I'm
That's the
just
nice thing
wondering.
about the SCA is that you can be as flexible as you want to be. The people who stick with a persona and a time period and a culture may be on a different path than people who come for the friendship and the activities and the experience of being able to wear different cultures of garb and explore different time periods. That's the great thing about the SCA is that there is that flexibility there. And generally anybody who, you know, if you show up at one event in Norse garb and then you show up at the next event in Ottoman or Persian garb, generally people will not
Mm-mm.
say nay against you.
Yeah. Our current queen is a great example of that. One of my
Yeah,
closest friends, she wears whatever she wants to wear. She doesn't care. She's worn Persian, Norse, Italian, Spanish,
I'm very big
whatever.
on what is the temperature outside today,
Yep.
and that determines what garb I'm wearing.
Yeah, what is the
Me
weather going to be
too.
like at the
Yeah,
event you're going to? Because I'm not going
Absolutely.
to wear my best if it's going to be hot and muggy. I tell you what,
Exactly.
I sweat like a horse, so that would not be good.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's about you having fun,
Yep.
as you said, and um, you need to have fun. Period.
yeah,
Because that's what we're all here for, basically. Even with all the history and research and everything we do, we're here to have fun. So you have to have fun and make it fun for yourself.
Exactly.
And by having fun for yourself, you're going to attract others.
That's true.
You are.
And that turns it back
Everybody likes
around
to
to
be around
recruiting and
someone who's
retaining.
having fun. Sorry,
yes.
they
Yeah,
do.
that's true.
And
Absolutely.
just think, people will ask me, why do I do SCA after being away for so long? And I'm like, well, nothing like that. If I had armor, which I don't have, going up to a friend of mine who I've known for 20 plus years and hitting him over the head with a piece of rattan. And they're like, you do that? Yeah. And they asked me to do it again too.
They don't even get
And
mad.
yeah, and they don't get mad. Of course, they want to hit me back, and I try to say no, but they don't understand that. So it's
Exactly.
you got to have fun, and whatever that means for you, whether that means and I get a little preachy when it comes to people who are sticklers for period attire, and as long as you're making an attempt, that's what the whole bylaws say. You're making an attempt,
Make an
and
attempt.
and if that means you have a sheet from Goodwill and you're wearing something Greek or a toga, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. In fact, if you're going to a hot event, people are going to go, wow, she looks good and she's so cool. I bet she's really cool at that.
Yep. Comfortable.
People say that. And, so you got, as I said again, got to have fun. Do you, and don't do anybody else. Whether, and I understand about, not having cars. I've, been through that, and it's hard. It really is. But make friends on social media, and you'll be surprised what people in the SCA are willing to do for other people in the SCA.
That's
You
true.
really will.
There's
And
always someone from your area traveling to an event that has a extra spot in the car. So
that, and if you can't get that spot, you can always ask. And most people don't have a problem going to another SCA person's house and saying, Michelle told me that you had a package or some stuff for me to take, and I have room, so I'd like to take it, and here I am. And as long as you've done it a little ahead of time, you can get your stuff and whatever garb you want. And I've done that a couple of times for other people. And sometimes if I have extra garb that I don't use anymore, I throw it in, just get rid of it, because you only have so much room in your closet.
yeah, exactly.
And but I don't get away trashy tunics, but something I just don't wear anymore.
Right.
Usually because I've gained too much weight. But now I've had the reverse problem. I've lost 50 pounds, so I get to make all new garb.
Woohoo!
And just to share, so I was a regional hospitaler the very first time that regional hospitalers were done in Onstore. So
Oh, okay.
Wow.
yeah, so and you can tell, well, Kat knows this, I have the gift of gab. You know, usually I can talk to people. I don't mind talking. I get them to laugh and to joke a little. They feel better. And then talk about the SCA, and you mention things that everybody wants to hear. I mean, you are being a salesman, but you're selling the truth, which is a wonderful thing. Nothing like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
Well, all right.
I'll be
all right,
quiet for a while
guys.
now.
We are after 8, so did anybody have any other questions or anything for Sorcha? Okay. I appreciate you guys joining so much, and all your comments and questions. And Michelle, it's really nice to meet you, and I hope we'll see you again on a meeting again soon, and when we all get back together again at an event soon.
That'll be nice.
Yeah,
Someday.
Sorcha, thank you so much for teaching. I appreciate you, and
You're welcome.
hope everybody
Looking
has a
forward
good
to
night.
all seeing you at an event sometime, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.